So this Sunday, after 12 weeks of worshiping in our homes, connected only by technology, the Calvary family is going to gather again. And some of us will still be at home, joining us via live stream or recorded service after the fact. But for many of us, it's going to be the first opportunity that we've had since March 8th to gather in groups and worship God together on this property that He has given us. Now, I'm not going to repeat all the information that we sent to the congregation in an email yesterday. You can read that on our website, that letter, if you'd like. But what I would like to do is go through the basic outline of what we're planning to do and answer a couple of questions that may have come up. So this is what we're going to do. Current New Jersey guidelines limit outdoor gatherings to 25 people or less, socially distanced between families. So what that means is we're going to have 4 microservices outside here on the church property on Sunday morning. There's going to be an 8 o'clock service that goes from 8 to 8:45. There's going to be a 9:15 service that will go from 9:15 to 10. There'll be a 10:30 service that will go from 10:30 to 11:15, and there'll be an 11:45 service that will go from 11:45 to 12:30. All these spots for people attending the services have been filled by the responses our elders got when we surveyed the congregation earlier this week. Everyone else, and those who chose not to come, are invited and encouraged to join us on our website because we're going to be live streaming the 10:30 service on our YouTube channel, and that recording will then be available after the fact. If you're not familiar with our YouTube channel or where it is, there'll be a link to it through our website, calvarynj.org. We are asking all families when they come to stay socially distanced from one another, and we are asking folks to wear face coverings when they come. This is an act and a sign of love towards one another, and just an added measure of protection as we do this for the first time. We hope that everyone, whether you're here in person or joining us online, will appreciate the opportunity that we have to do something different this week. Now, let's take a look at some of the questions that people might be asking. First question, why are we doing this outside rather than inside? Well, a couple of different reasons. First of all, the New Jersey state limits for outside gatherings is currently 25. Inside that number is 10. Now, we expect that in the relatively near future, both of those numbers will go up, but in all likelihood, the outside number is going to go up faster and higher than the inside number. Secondly, the reason why the outside number is going to probably go up faster and higher than the inside number is because all the data seems to indicate that it's safer to gather outside than it is to gather inside, just simply from a virus transmission standpoint. The virus doesn't hang in the air outside the way that it does in enclosed spaces, regardless of the ventilation or the size of the room that you have. It's just safer to be outside. The other thing, quite honestly, is we're in a time of year where God has blessed us with weather that makes it possible to gather outside. And He's given us a property here at Calvary where we're able to do that. Sufficient parking lot room, sufficient free space for us to be able to set up chairs and blankets, stay appropriately distanced from one another, and yet be able to be in the same place. And then finally, along with that, as we considered what it would look like for us to keep one another safe and the restrictions and the measures that would be needed to do that inside versus what's needed to do that outside, it just seemed like a whole lot more fun to be able to gather outside. So that's why. Another question. Would you, if the state guidelines remain at 25 for another couple of weeks, continue to do the same thing that you're doing this Sunday? Well, we'll see how things go, of course, this week, and we'll make adjustments as appropriate. But because we have the hope that the guidelines will increase in the relatively near future, if it's just another couple of weeks, I think that we can continue to look at doing multiple services that enable people to just simply do something different as we enter into a new season, and particularly at this cultural moment where gathering together as God's people to pray, to seek His face, to worship is just absolutely critical. We're going to do everything we can to enable that to happen within the appropriate guidelines of the law. Another question, what happens if it rains? Well, the good news is this Sunday it looks like the weather is going to be fantastic. So for at least the first week, we hopefully don't have to worry about that. If we continue to do it going forward, then we're going to treat the decision like we would a snow cancellation during the winter. Our elders and our deacons will monitor weather and the predictions, and we'll make a decision, hopefully on Saturday night, whether or not we're able to have the service or whether weather is preventing us from being able to do that. If we're not able to meet outside, we will still have a service that we will live stream to the congregation with the recording available afterward. That's one benefit from what we've learned over the last couple of months from what we would have had to have done before in the case of a snow day. We can still have a service, we just stream it out in a way that allows everyone to be able to connect, even if the weather prevents our physical gathering. Okay, here's a common one that many of you might be asking. If we're meeting outside, then why do we need to wear face coverings? Well, let me first acknowledge that according to the New Jersey state guidelines, we're probably going over and above on this one. If we're meeting outside and we're appropriately socially distanced from one another, then wearing a face covering may not be technically required. And yet, this is why our elders landed where we landed. We said even if there's a marginal benefit for us in keeping one another safe, as we sing together out loud and as we pray prayers of confession and as we recite creeds together in unison, if there's even a marginal benefit of safety, then we want to do that, particularly at the outset. And along with that, and even more prominent in our discussion, was this. We want to show a common sign of unity to one another that welcomes everyone here. We have to acknowledge that there are those among us who will feel more or less safe, particularly the first times that we gather. And if just a couple of people feel more comfortable coming together to worship because everyone is wearing a face covering, then we want to do that. In fact, we feel that there is a Christian obligation to do that, to show love towards one another, to say, "You're welcome here." You see, the common problem with face coverings is that they're typically been perceived as a defense mechanism. I'm wearing this to protect myself from you. The problem is, scientifically, that's not even true. The face coverings, when we wear them, are not really designed, unless they're an N95 respirator, to protect us from other people. They're designed to protect other people from us. They're designed to knock down the aerosolization of the virus into the atmosphere so that it doesn't spread the way that it would otherwise. In other words, I wear a face covering not to protect myself, but to protect you. And so the idea of wearing the face coverings when we come together for worship on Sunday is to be able to say loudly, clearly to one another, "I love you." There is no more Christian act than that. All right, last question. What's it going to be like? Really, what's it going to be like on Sunday? And the answer is, well, we don't quite know. We're all waiting to sort of experience it. It's an experiment. It's something that we've never done before. So as a result, it's probably going to feel different. It's probably going to feel strange. It might even feel a little bit weird. But hopefully, it's also going to feel really exciting. Exciting because this property that God gave us 20 years ago is designed to be used for the gathering of God's people to worship Him. And after 3 months of not being able to do that, we're going to do it again. It doesn't matter whether it's perfect. It doesn't matter whether it's grand. It's going to happen. When Stacy and I first became parents, we had twin baby boys. And that meant that for at least a little while, going to church was completely out of the question. The first time that we actually got out of the house to go to church, we drove all the way there, we got to the parking lot, and because someone was hungry, someone was fussy, someone needed to eat, we decided we weren't able to actually go into church, we're just going to turn around and go home. But you know what? We viewed it as a win. We were ecstatic. We made it out of the house and we made it to church. We made it to the same place where God's people were gathering to worship. Calvary, that's what we're going to do this week. We're going to show to one another that we are what we always have been. We're a family. We're going to love one another. Some of us are going to be in one another's presence here on the grounds. Others are going to be watching online and via live stream or recording. But we are a family, and we can't wait to welcome you back again.